Hi everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you are, you have joined us for our third Q&A, an update session that we've committed. Hi everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you are, you have joined us for our third Q&A, an update session that we've just got a couple of questions, one or two there that have got to be answered, but also particularly give you guys a little bit of an update of some of the things that are happening. Naturally, there's lots going on right now. We've got a New South Wales election fast approaching and a federal election hot on the heels of that one. So, a few updates to get through today. Dahi, who's some of you might not already know, is heading up the campaign efforts for the party, has quite a few things to share on both fronts. So I think without further ado, Dahi, I might hand it over to you to get right into some of those updates.
Great, thanks, Nathan. Good morning from Western Australia. So in relation to campaigns, the big news really is Election Day is approaching in New South Wales with 34 days until the actual election day of the 23rd of March. But that also means that it's only 22 days until polling opens, because pre-polling opens the week before the election day. So early polling opens on the 11th of March. So that's really an indication of where we are and how much we have to do in advance of that. So the big news really coming from New South Wales this week will be in relation to candidates. We will announce our first batch of candidates, and we will be pushing that message out to the media and out via our social channels. But that also means that there's still time for people who are interested in getting involved as candidates. There's still time for you to reach out to us, for us to assess if you're in a position to assist the campaign as a candidate or maybe as a volunteer. So again, keep an eye on our Facebook and the website and your emails for information in relation to that. Now, a very key part of our election campaign and our campaign efforts will be around the volunteers who come and help us in the lead up to the election. So there's a number of ways that volunteers can get involved. And in the short term, it will be simply getting out in your local area, helping promote Flux, either by handing out flyers, putting up posters, speaking to people, maybe organizing a small local event in your area. There's a variety of ways that you can get involved and help out as a volunteer. But the main task that we will be looking to corral all of our volunteering efforts will be in attending and having a presence at all of as many polling booths and polling stations across New South Wales as possible. You're probably all familiar with the phenomenon of Election Day, where there's parties are all over the entrance of the polling booths trying to get your attention and claim that last minute vote from the undecided voters. And believe it or not, it actually does play a huge role in determining the outcome on Election Day. So just to give you a bit of an insight into some analysis that we've conducted, in our WA campaign in 2017, we analysed the difference between the polling booths where we had people attending them on Election Day and ones where we didn't. And by putting a Flux volunteer on a polling booth, it can actually increase our vote at that polling booth by 200 to 300%. Now that's a phenomenal statistic to take into account, that if you as a Flux volunteer are able to attend and look after a polling booth in your area on Election Day, you can potentially boost our votes at that polling booth by at least 200%. So for anybody who's looking for a way to get involved and help out with Flux, your efforts on Election Day and the couple of days leading up to Election Day, attending polling booths is a huge contribution. And I cannot understate how much value that could actually bring towards helping us get votes and getting the word out there, because so many people don't pay attention to what's going on during the campaign. A lot of people are tuned out from politics, and it's only when they turn up to vote that they finally go, okay, what are my options here? And if we can be an option there for people with some information and a friendly volunteer who's willing to explain what our intentions and purposes at Flux are, that is a huge contribution. So I encourage anybody who wants to do a small little bit to help. Even 4 hours on Election Day has the potential to give us a huge boost at the polls. So again, keep an eye out on your emails and on Facebook and all of our social channels for more information on how you can be part of our volunteer efforts in the week leading up to Election Day and also on Election Day. And I'd also say as well, for people who haven't been involved in a campaign before, doing this stuff on Election Day is actually really fun because you get to meet so many different people. And because we're not one of the traditional parties, people are generally so enthusiastic to meet, to get a fresh perspective on politics, to find out what it is we're doing. It's a great way to meet new people and just get a sense of what's happening in your community and enjoy the buzz around Election Day, because for so many people, it's just another one of these things that we do and the time passes and it's just a chore. But when you're actively involved, it gives it a whole new element and just brings a whole new perspective to the value that we as Flux can potentially offer to to Australian politics in general. So that's really the update on New South Wales. From a federal perspective, the federal election hasn't been called yet, but it's looking likely that it will be mid to end May, sometime, the middle towards the end of May, but still to be confirmed. At the moment, due to our efforts in raising awareness around the New South Wales election and our call for candidates, we're attracting a lot of candidate applications. And again, I would encourage anybody from around Australia in any of our states who is interested in potentially standing as a candidate to get in touch with us. There's information on our Facebook. We'll also put an update on the website as well, where people can just link straight to our candidate application. And with regards to volunteering and action in various states in the lead up to the election, keep an eye out on your local Facebook group for information on events that will be arranged in the weeks leading up to the federal election. At the moment, all of our focus is on New South Wales and it's drawing a lot of our time and attention. But once the 23rd of March passes, you can guarantee that all focus will be back on the other states for the federal campaign. But there are some activities happening in other states. At the moment, WA is meeting regularly, so I'd encourage people to get along to your meetings in WA and the other states as they start to come online. And that's the general update from campaigns. If there's any questions that people have, again, you can feel free to reach out to us directly via leadership@voteflux.org, or just contact us via Facebook, Twitter, any of our channels, and someone will get back to you with more information.
Great, thanks for that, Dahi. So yeah, some really interesting insight, folks. I hope everyone took a little bit away from that. I mean, particularly for me, the big thing is volunteering. This is a volunteer organisation. We don't have, huge unions backing us or multinational corporations that want to throw us money. So this really comes from the volunteers, and there's just no way that this is going to be possible without volunteer support. And naturally, volunteering on the day at a polling booth is a really easy way to get involved, and it might only take a few hours of your time. But if you're able to support with that, like Dahi said, 200 to 300% difference is actually really huge. So in line with that, a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. The first one was donations. So if you're in New South Wales, you might have seen an email go out recently asking or calling for donations. More of those will go out in New South Wales, and also federally, they'll be going out more and more frequently. So we've set up a couple of campaigns online that make it really, really easy to donate and contribute to the party. So the first one is Patreon. Some of you might be familiar with Patreon. It's a really great tool for setting up recurring donations. At the moment, we don't have any rewards for those donations, like a lot of the typical creator style that you see on Patreon right now. And that's just because we've got some constraints around being a political party. So we are looking into that and seeing what we can do in terms of rewards. But, naturally, when it comes to politics and receiving money, you've got to be careful with what you offer as a reward, because bribery is a real thing and is a crime. So we have to be really careful there, and we will be before any rewards go up. But that's one way that you can support that. Any money that we take via our Patreon page goes to the foundation, that the foundation then uses to support all of the organisation, so the federal party as well as different state branches, and apportions that money as the entire organisation needs it. I should sort of stress at this point that from a cost point of view, a lot of the kind of ongoing costs of the party are very centralised. So, Victoria, for instance, doesn't have its own account with Google or its own MailChimp account. That all comes together with a centralized platform. The other thing that we're running right now is a fundraiser account. So Fundraiser, which is fundrazr.com, is a platform that you can go on and create campaigns for specific fundraising purposes. Right now, we've got a campaign up there for the New South Wales state election, which of course is our most pressing election. Just to give everyone a bit of an idea of the costs, just to have our candidates run and actually contest the election at all is going to cost us around $5,000 just to get all the candidates that we want to run. So, it's not insignificant. It's a bit of money, and really the only way we can raise that money is from volunteers. So if you're listening to this and you haven't donated yet, please seriously consider it. If you have trouble finding it online, I can give you guys the link. It should just be fundrazr.com. Bear with me, fundraiser.com/profiles/FluxParty-New South Wales. And I'll actually get that. You can just go to fundraiser.com/FluxParty-NSW, all one word. But I'll make sure that we post that in the YouTube stream so that you can get that. And you can donate directly specifically to the New South Wales campaign. Or if you'd like to donate more generally, then the Patreon page is a really easy way to set up a recurring donation. When it comes to Patreon, like a $15 donation is what we recommend. You can donate less or more than that. It's completely up to you. But this is really, really an important thing for us now. And to give a bit of context, it's not something that we've ever done really well in the past. I think those of you who have followed Flux for a long time will know that we've never really run any serious donation campaigns in the past. But for the longevity of the organisation, it's just something that we have to start doing more and more regularly. And we hope that as supporters, you guys are willing and happy to come along that journey with us and financially support the movement. So if you get more emails, expect them. They'll be coming. We'll be asking more and more. And don't feel shy. If you're in a position to be able to help, please do so. So the next thing that I wanted to just touch on was Holacracy. So some of you who are following us a little more closely will know that the organisation, from a volunteer organisation governance perspective, has been trialling a system known as Holacracy. So Holacracy is a form of governance, I guess you might say, and operational organisation that is applied to not-for-profits. It's also applied to for-profit companies, and it's a little bit of a different, style of governance than your typical top-down approach, and it's one that relies a little more on providing autonomy to people and sections of an organisation to kind of manage their part of that organisation, and it provides a really clear framework for how people within an organisation and who are, responsible for different domains within that organisation relate to one another. So we've been trialing this. We started doing this sort of third quarter of last year, around the start of the third quarter of last year. And it's taken quite a while for it to really get up and running because it's been a big change to how we've been doing things. At the same time, the steering committee was finding its feet in terms of the roles that everyone was intended to fill in the steering committee. But I guess the update really is that I'm pleased to report that at a steering committee level, it's starting to work really, really well. So we've now become really clear on the way that these meetings ought to work and run. And in terms of efficiency, it's working quite well. So the next, challenge for us is to make sure that those learns that we've sort of gleaned at the federal steering committee level can now play through to all of the working groups, all the state branches, and that everyone can sort of get on the same page. It has started already, and a lot of the folks who are watching this, if you're in one of those working groups, will be familiar with that, and there's a few aspects of that that are starting to make their way through. But in terms of getting really good at it, we are still working on it, but it's something that's starting to happen. So if anyone's interested in Holacracy, by the way, it's really easy to find information on it. If you just Google Holacracy, there's an organisation called Holacracy One that publish a lot of really good information on the system, how it works, and most of that is free in terms of learning and understanding it. So if you're a volunteer who's thinking about getting a little bit more involved with the organisation, not a bad idea to have a little bit of a look at Holacracy and see how that works to familiarise yourself, because that's something that we're really earnestly pursuing at the moment. So I think that's it for me on updates. Again, donations. I have no shame in asking for help in this way, guys. So I'll just I'll reiterate that again. But other than that, that's it for updates. I think now we've got a question that we're going to address, at least one. Dahi, is that right?
Yes, there's a question that came in via the Q&A section of the membership app. So for anybody who's not familiar with this functionality, When you signed up for Flux as a member, you would have received some email correspondence just outlining what your membership is all about. And in the last few months, we've started to build additional functionality into the membership section of app.flux.party. So this is where your membership information is contained. It's how you verify that you are on the electoral roll, and it provides the initial staging ground for where we will build out and release the technology as those steps come online. But at the moment, one of the key pieces of functionality that we have in there is a Q&A section where any member can submit a question either with their name associated with it or anonymously, because we're great believers that anonymous questions can provide a lot of value as well. So if anybody has any questions that they want to have aired, you can go to app.flux.party and the Q&A section and submit your question. So we've had a question since our last Q&A, and it came from Rohan. The title is, there's a call for Flux members to contribute ideas. Is this the Q&A? Is the Q&A the means of this? And he expands, the old forums are gone. Maybe while the new ones become available, it would be good to see discussions had aren't lost. The new forums seem a bit quiet, and he had to guess to Google the Slack. I guess I'm not really sure where the conversation is happening. So, Rowan, this is a great question and a great observation. So, in the previous Q&A, Max provided some context around what happened. The old, I think it was Discord based. I can't remember the platform that was used. The old forum that we had.
Yeah, that we were using.
Yeah, and we had some technical issues with that, and we do want to restore as much of all of the content that was generated on that platform to a new platform. However, there are some small technical constraints regarding separating out discussion forums, information relating to discussion forums from that old platform, from people's private messages and stuff. And it just requires someone with a bit of technical know-how to take that project on and really make something of it. Because another volunteer set up the forum.flux.party website, which is currently not got a whole lot of information on there. So there is a lot of work that still needs to be done in that regard. Now, in relation to the Slack, Slack would be a good port of call for people who want to get involved in conversations and more connected to people who are actively working inside the organization. So I'll take away from this that we'll double check on the website that the link is pointing to the correct section, and we'll just double check to make sure that the Slack is available and that people are aware that the Slack channels exist, and we will start encouraging people to get involved there. So, Rowan, I hope that answers your question. We do have a lot of work to do in really providing members with the right sort of platforms so that they can be involved in robust discussions around things. But I will say we are working on a lot of things in that regard, and we will have some exciting announcements in relation to a platform where members can get involved and be more active and participating in the coming weeks. Nathan, do you have anything to add on that question?
No, I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, anything I'd say, yeah, the forums were really valuable, and we really appreciate that question, because it is actually something that we've been missing. That when they were in use were actually a really exciting place where a lot of interesting discussions were being had around IBDD particularly, which is, I think, one of the most interesting things that we can be talking about as members of this movement, and particularly the nuts and bolts of it, and how it might actually, when it's time to map it onto the real world, what it's going to look like, and how we, tweak some of the aspects of that. So, it is something that we take seriously, and we do want to get that moving again. It's just going to be a matter of getting the technical issues ironed out so that we can do that. But I for one, am really very much looking forward to having that back online as well, Rowan. So thanks for the question. I think that's it for the questions. We don't have any more here at the moment, and nothing I don't think has come through the YouTube stream. No, nothing that I can see. Maybe I'll just keep talking for a bit. So anyone who's listening right now, I know we've got a couple of people watching, so if anyone is watching and you want to raise something, now is your time, because in the next couple of minutes I think we'll probably wrap it up. Dahi, do you have anything else that you want to add before we call it quits, if no one else has got a question?
I'll just add that this initiative of doing streams, Q&A streams, and so forth, we would appreciate feedback on this. If there's other things that you think should be discussed or brought up, or elements that you'd like to see added, because this is an area that we do want to improve on and make more regular. And we are currently working behind the scenes to devise a few different sorts of streams or kind of information sharing events that we will start doing. So any feedback that people have, we welcome it. You can either put it in the comments below, or you can email us or get onto any of our social channels and just provide us with feedback. We would greatly appreciate it.
Okay, looking good. Okay, so it looks like we might have one question, Dahi. So let's just hang in here for a sec and wait and see what that is. Looks like it's being typed out. We just might need to give it a second. Note for next time, we need to give people a bit of time to prepare with these questions, because there is a lag. I'm not sure how long the lag is, but it's enough that, you know, the live interaction makes it a bit challenging, or can be a bit challenging.
Yeah, I think, Nathan, we'll just need to work on our in-stream banter so that we can provide the bridges between questions and segments, so that people are okay. Right. The question has come in.
That's right. Okay, so Stephanie has said, can I vote for Flux in the next election? Stephanie, you most certainly can vote for Flux in the next election. You can, if you're in New South Wales, you've got 2 elections to vote for Flux at. But yeah, absolutely, that's certainly the intention. So yeah, get your pencil arm ready. AG,
no, I will just.
Yeah, go on, Dave. You want to add something?
Sorry, I'll just add there for Stephanie. Stephanie, it depends where you're at. At the moment, we don't actually have any active volunteers and people on the ground in the Northern Territory. So if there's people in Northern Territory for the federal election who would like to get involved, reach out to us. We have some ground to cover there. So assuming you're in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia and Tasmania, we should have you covered, Stephanie.
Thanks for that, Dahi. Yeah, that matters. That does matter. Okay, AG, question. I was in the Working Bee video but didn't get to connect to the meeting. Is that working out / still happening? Yeah, they are still happening. Not sure what happened there. I think in future, if you're unable to join one of those Working Bee meetings, that's a good question. It really depends. So the guys may or may not run a meeting, just depending on the situation. So that's actually maybe something for us to offline and actually figure out how best to deal with that. Dahi, because you've dialed into those meetings, haven't you, typically?
Yes. So AG, I had the same issue last week, or this week it was, that the Working Bee stream wasn't online. But for me, I wasn't that bothered because I had a lot of work I needed to do before a call that was coming up after that. But for people who do want to be involved in that, that was us dropping the ball. So I'll ensure that stream for the Working Bee, I'll ensure that someone is on top of that so that people can be participating in those meetings.
A good idea, and just because that's actually sort of brought something up. I believe we have a Discord channel. Discord is in the voice tool. And maybe that might be a good tool for that kind of thing, because it makes it very easy for people to jump in, jump out, join channels. If people want to go into another channel who are online and maybe talk about an idea. I mean, we'll offline that, but I think that's maybe something to think about when we run digital Working Bees as a concept. Do we leverage a tool like Discord that has live chat that people can just join into and break off and work on different things? Do you have any thoughts on that, Dahi?
Yeah, my thoughts would be, the right tools for the right job, and just a matter of ensuring that everybody would be, already utilizing Discord. I think there's always an issue inside every organization where if you have too many different communication tools, your communications can start to get fragmented. I think we just need to define a very clear communication protocol for how we do those meetings and let that be it. And whether it's Discord or whether it's a Google Hangout, whatever it is, that's what it will be. But we just need to ensure then that we actually do it. This week we dropped the ball in not having the stream working.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, look, that's good. I think there's an opportunity there for us to kind of work out a bit of a precedent on how we handle that. Because obviously when the federal election comes along, there'll be probably plenty of these all over the state. And if we have like a good model for how we do like digital working bees, which I think have been, the working bees that have been scheduled have been, useful. So, yeah, we'll get something in place. So thanks very much for the question. I think that's a bit of a learn for us to take away. Stephanie's come back with another question. We have some good propaganda material to send because she'd love to do some flyering. We will. We're working on it. So one of the things that we're doing right now is preparing collateral. The New South Wales team is working on that. So Stephanie, if you stay tuned, the only constraint around that stuff is the way that we distribute it, because electoral law requires that everything that we hand out states that it's been authorised by party leadership, and also names where it's been printed. So the naming where it's been printed part is a bit of a constraint. It means that we have, if we provide documentation, if we provide flyers, we essentially need to get them printed from a central source and then ship them to you, which we can do and we will do. So just stand by. It just puts a little bit of a constraint on you sort of printing stuff yourself. But we will get that done and let you know how you can access that material. Dahi, do you have anything to add there?
No, I would, everything you just said, we will communicate via email to our volunteers about that, because there will be a few little nuanced steps in how we do that. We don't want to post material out to everybody. We'll want to post the material to people who can't necessarily make it to Sydney. And there's just going to be a little bit of logistics around that. So keep an eye on your email, Stephanie, and there should be information forthcoming in that regard.
That's assuming you've signed up, Stephanie. So if you haven't already signed up, please make sure that you do and that you're receiving our emails. And if you are, then just keep your eye on that. Okay, look, I think that's wrapped us up. I think that was good, guys. For all of you who've tuned in for this one, thanks very much. Yeah, we're going to try and get sort of regular cadence on this, like Dahi said, and make sure that we can keep keep everyone up to date, and we sort of don't go radio silence like we have in the past, for some periods of time. So this will be a regular thing, and particularly with the elections coming up, a really regular thing. So if you've got any questions, just keep in mind that the Q&A part of the app.flux.party, you can always head in there and post a question, and we'll respond to them the next time we do one of these. But thanks everyone for joining us. Dahi, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nathan. Always a pleasure.
And folks, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a lovely Sunday afternoon.